He wasn't just Jack Sparrow. He was the storm behind the eyes, a rebel soul that shook Hollywood with poetry, pain, and unapologetic madness. Johnny Depp, the name, the mystery, the myth. An actor who never trained but bled emotion on screen. This story isn't just about alcohol lawsuits or scandals. It's about a lost boy who built himself out of broken dreams, who burned bridges only to paint the ashes into art. It's about the man behind the makeup, the guitar behind the silence, and the actor who never wanted to be famous, only free. He was a rock star who never played the fame game, and an actor who never wanted the spotlight. Johnny Depp, a name the world adored, but never truly understood. A face that wore 1,000 characters, yet could never find his own reflection. We laughed at him as Jack Sparrow, but behind that grin, he was breaking piece by piece. Fame hid his shadows. And when those shadows surfaced, the world called him a villain. But no one ever asked about his truth. This is not just the story of an actor. It's the story of a lost boy, a wounded lover, and a misunderstood artist. This is the story of Johnny Depp, the man no one truly knew but everyone judged. It's time to peel back the paint and ask, who was the real Johnny Depp behind the mask? Johnny Depp never dreamed of becoming an actor. All he wanted was to play music. But when his band, The Kids, moved from Florida to Los Angeles and gigs dried up, survival took priority. One day, his friend Nicolas Cage introduced him to a talent agent and casually suggested, "You've got the right look for film. Why not try an audition?" Johnny laughed it off, but agreed. A few weeks later, he landed a small role in a horror movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street. The year was 1984. Johnny played a teenage boy who gets killed in his dreams. The film did well, and suddenly casting agents knew his face. But deep inside, his heart still beat for the guitar, not the camera. "I started acting because I needed to pay the bills," Johnny once said. He took auditions, small roles, but Hollywood's gloss felt suffocating. He felt like he was betraying himself. At night, he'd sit alone and strum melodies of a life he had put on pause. Then in 1987, everything changed. Johnny was cast in a television series called 21 Jump Street. The show exploded. He became a teen idol overnight. Magazines plastered his face. Fans screamed his name, and agents started calling him the next big thing. But Johnny, he felt empty. It felt like I had sold my soul. I was an artist, and now I was just another product, he confessed. He begged the producers to kill off his character, just to escape. But the show's success kept him shackled. During this time, he started observing the film industry closely. He realized that acting could be more than reciting lines. It could be living a wound, expressing the unspoken. And that's when Johnny made a decision. If he was going to act, it would be on his own terms. After 21 Jump Street, the offers flooded in. Blockbuster scripts, million-dollar deals, the big Hollywood dream. But to Johnny, it all felt hollow. He didn't want to be a star. He wanted to be an artist. That's when he met Tim Burton, a director as strange, poetic, and rebellious as Johnny himself. Burton offered him the lead role in Edward Scissorhands in 1990, a near-silent character with scissors for hands and a heart full of longing. The moment Johnny read the script, he felt like he'd found a mirror. Edward wasn't just a character. He was a symbol of every misfit, every misunderstood soul. Depp said yes immediately. On set, he didn't just act. He became Edward. "I didn't play him, I was him," Johnny later said. The film was a critical and commercial hit. And it redefined Depp. No longer the teen heartthrob, he became Hollywood's most unconventional actor. From that point on, Depp rejected mainstream safe roles. He sought out scripts that were offbeat, haunting, and real. Films like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Benny June, and Dead Man showed a new Johnny Depp, someone who refused to play perfect heroes and instead embraced broken, beautiful souls. "I hate perfect characters," he once said. "I relate to the broken ones, because I'm one of them." The bond between Burton and Depp grew stronger. They were both outsiders, both rebels, and both deeply passionate about telling stories that didn't fit the mold. What they created wasn't just cinema. It was therapy through art. Together, they gave Hollywood something it wasn't ready for: vulnerability, weirdness, and truth. By now, Johnny Depp was a rising icon, but inside he still felt incomplete, fragile, like a man searching for a home he never had. That's when he met Winona Ryder, a girl with eyes full of stories, shadows, and secrets. Johnny said, When I saw her, time stopped. It felt like I had met someone from a dream I had long forgotten. They met at a movie premiere, and within weeks their romance became the talk of Hollywood. But for Johnny, it wasn't just love. It was obsession. He gave himself completely. He even tattooed her name on his skin, Winona Forever. But forever doesn't always mean forever. In 1993, they broke up. Winona walked away, and the tattoo stayed. Johnny later had it altered. Why no forever? A bitter joke, a scar disguised as a laugh. That breakup shattered something inside him. He started drinking more, disappearing into nights, spiraling towards self-destruction. To make things worse, his close friend River Phoenix died of a drug overdose right outside Johnny's own nightclub, the Viper Room. That night broke Johnny in places no one could see. "I couldn't save him," he said. "Maybe I can't even save myself." After that, he grew quieter. He still acted, but his face changed. There was more depth, more pain behind his eyes. This was the turning point. Johnny whispered to himself, "If I survive this, I won't just be a name, I'll be a symbol." By the late 1990s, Johnny Depp had become a name every director wanted, but he still felt like a stranger in the Hollywood machine. He kept choosing eccentric, dark, and emotionally complex roles, from Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas to Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow. But in 2003, everything changed. He was offered a role, one that would not only redefine his career, but turn him into a global icon, Captain Jack Sparrow. Pirates of the Caribbean was pitched as a simple, family-friendly adventure. But Johnny saw something else. He transformed Jack Sparrow into a staggering, unpredictable pirate with slurred speech, swaying steps, and a twisted smirk. His inspiration? A mix of Keith Richards, clowns, and broken poets. Disney panicked. "You're ruining the character," they said. Johnny replied, "Either I play him my way or I don't play him at all." And then the impossible happened. Captain Jack Sparrow became one of the most beloved characters in movie history. But behind the eyeliner and swagger was a man speaking his own truth. Johnny later said, "Jack Sparrow isn't me, but maybe he's who I wish I could be." Through this pirate, Depp channeled his own battles, with addiction, alienation, and society itself. The film made him a household name, but fame didn't change him. He kept picking roles that were bizarre, soulful, raw. Finding Neverland, Sweeney Todd, Public Enemies. Johnny Depp wasn't just acting. He was redefining what it meant to be an artist in a system that wanted him to play it safe. Through every role, every stare, every cracked laugh, he was telling the world, "I'm not one of you, but I can show you what you're missing." After becoming Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny thought he had finally found peace. But fame, like fire, burns even brighter before it consumes you. By 2012, Depp had starred in dozens of hits and was among the world's highest-paid actors. But just when the world was celebrating him, his personal life was falling apart. He married Amber Heard, a rising actress. The love was real, but so was the chaos. Soon after their wedding, reports of fights, abuse, and accusations hit the media. Amber accused Depp of domestic violence. Depp denied every claim. "I've never struck a woman in my life," he said, but the headlines had already made up their mind. Studios dropped him. He was fired from Fantastic Beasts, and Pirates of the Caribbean 6 was shelved. His name was no longer celebrated. It was scandalized. The same world he once entertained now turned its back on him. If this story has moved you so far, don't scroll away. Subscribe to Inspiro, the place where truth isn't filtered, and real legends are told the way they lived, raw, flawed, and unforgettable. Because real inspiration doesn't come from perfection. It comes from rising after being broken. By 2020, Johnny Depp had lost nearly everything: career, reputation, relationships. But one thing he hadn't lost was his voice, and now he was ready to use it. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard, a legal battle that played out not just in courtrooms, but across news headlines, YouTube live streams, and TikTok feeds. This wasn't just Depp versus Heard. It was truth versus assumption. In court, Johnny's tone was calm. But behind every word was pain, dignity, and conviction. He spoke about his troubled childhood, admitted to alcohol use, owned up to his flaws, but firmly declared, "I never struck a woman in my life." Amber's lawyers painted him as a violent drunk, an abusive husband, a broken man, But Depp didn't flinch, he didn't act. He simply stood as a worn-out soul, fighting to reclaim his name. The trial was broadcast live and watched by millions. Social media exploded with memes, reactions, edits. But Johnny stayed poised. One line went viral. "I lost nothing less than everything." And it hit the world like a thunderclap. Because it wasn't just his story anymore. It was the story of every man wrongly judged, unheard, and unhealed. Then in 2022, the court ruled in his favor. Amber Heard was found guilty of defamation. Johnny Depp got justice. But there were no loud celebrations, no victory laps. Just a quiet, tired smile like a man who had finally reached the end of a long and brutal war. After the verdict, the world looked at Johnny with new eyes. He wasn't just an actor anymore. He had become a symbol for every person who had been silenced, shamed, or misunderstood. He kept his distance from the media, but not from music. He joined his longtime friend Jeff Beck on a European tour, returning to his first love, the guitar. Fans screamed, "We love you, Johnny." But Johnny stood quietly, eyes closed, strumming like he was saying, "I've spoken enough, let the music speak now." He slowly returned to acting, but no longer for fame or fortune. Now he chose stories with more silence, more soul. In 2023, his film Jean du Barry opened at the Cannes Film Festival. When the crowd stood up to applaud him, he didn't give a speech. He bowed his head with tears in his eyes, because sometimes silence is the loudest statement of all. His face looked older now, his steps slower, smile softer, but the spark in his eyes, it still flickered, the same spark that once gave life to Jack Sparrow. Depp later said, "I have nothing left to prove. I just want to live, in my own way." Today, when you look at Johnny Depp, you might not see the battles he's fought, but look closer into his eyes, and you'll find an ocean of pain, memory, and quiet defiance. He's no longer just a movie star. He's a living legacy, raw, imperfect, unforgettable. Depp now chooses films that don't chase box office records, but chase human truth. No superheroes, no perfect endings, just fractured souls trying to find their light. Critics say he's washed up. But fans? They say he's never been more real. These days, Johnny spends time painting, playing guitar, writing poetry. He takes small roles, supports indie films, and sometimes, without fanfare, performs for children in remote villages. No cameras, no press. Once asked, "What are you afraid of now?" Depp smiled and said, "I'm not afraid of losing myself anymore. I'm afraid of losing myself for someone else again." His life has become a novel, each page a little broken, a little beautiful, and completely honest. He never called himself a hero, but for thousands who have been unheard, unseen, and unloved, he became hope. Johnny Depp's life has been nothing short of a film, filled with mystery, love, trials, and finally, a quiet redemption. Every role he ever played, whether Jack Sparrow or Edward Scissorhands, wasn't just a character. It was a piece of his soul. Each role, a scar. Each film, a confession. Today, Johnny spends most of his time away from the spotlight. You'll find him sipping tea under trees, strumming his guitar as if saying, "I'm not telling stories anymore, I've become one." In a rare interview, he once said, "If I go tomorrow, I'll have no regrets. I've seen everything and lost everything, but I'm still here, and that is my victory." His eyes still hold that same flicker, but now it's not the shine of stardom. It's the burn of truth, the fire that shaped him through every fall. Johnny Depp is no longer just a name. He is a feeling, an inspiration, and above all, a story that proves it's possible to rise again, even from the darkest place. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of your own silent battles, and then don't let it end here, subscribe to Inspiro, because we don't tell fairy tales, we tell the real ones. The ones that bleed, break, and still shine. Inspiro, where broken souls find their voice.